hours away.
Good afternoon. Real quick, I'm not feeling well. Whew. I'm not going to try any more of these ADHD meds. Nope. Nope. We're going hot then. Because I'm hot and I'm cold. Serious, right now I'm just sitting here sweating. Feel like I'm sweating to the oldies. No, it feels like I'm detoxing again. I don't like that shit. So, and that was just one dose. This is something I'm supposed to take every day. Made me really dizzy. Yeah, not a good experience. So, what's this one called? And of course, it's a 90-day supply. Strattera. Strattera. My stomach hurts. All right, let's do this. Do the best I can. Figure it'd be better to do this than to just sit around and complain that I'm not feeling well. So, just had a pretty good meeting with one of the directors over at the Community Reach Center. It's always good. He's a good guy. I like having conversations with like-minded people. That's just something that I really enjoy. Man, this is giving me really bad cotton mouth too. And go grab a bottle of water. All right. I now have a bottle of water. Because my mind tends to think that, because soda tends to quench my thirst, but when I have dry mouth like this now, and no, here's the problem with soda. It doesn't have taste memory. In other words, every time you drink it, it's like you drank it for the first time. Let's do tradition 8. Not sure how much I'll get into this since I'm not feeling that well, but I will do my best. Tradition 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. Oh, that's special, all right. All right. Oh, sorry. Just had like a dizzy attack. Those are not fun. Alcoholics Anonymous will never have a professional class. We have gained some understanding of the ancient words. Freely ye have received, freely give. Now, there are some people that work in the industry. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with somebody working in the industry. In fact, I was just talking to somebody who's they're a recovered addict. And they work in the industry, but they do service work also. Right. So when I, like a few years ago, when I was working at East Metro Detox as a peer support specialist, I had sponsees. Yeah. So if you get into the field, you still got to have sponsees. You still got to do stuff. because otherwise you're missing the freely ye have received. I was literally somebody. It was a. I'm actually thinking about doing. How do they call them? I forget. See, and they don't even know that they're charging money. Okay, not even gonna get into it. Whoa. Anyway, all right. We have discovered that at the point of professionalism, money and spirituality do not mix. Almost no recovery from alcoholism has been brought about by the world's best professionals, whether medical or religious. We do not decree professionalism in other fields, but we accept the sober fact that it does not work for us. Every time we have tried to professionalize our 12th step, the result has been exactly the same. The single purpose has been defeated. Now, Alcoholics Anonymous itself cannot be in a professional class. That's what we're talking about. As an individual member, you most certainly can. A lot of people go on to be counselors. Heck, the guy I was just talking to, he's got a master's. He's got a master's in this field. I don't know exactly what it is. Right. So he's kind of he can help even more people because not only does he have the experience, but he has the education also, right? Alcoholism does have a clinical side to it. Sometimes you'll hear me come on talk about a few things like mocktails. Okay, no drug and alcohol counselor or therapist is going to tell you that mocktails are okay if you're an alcoholic. In fact, they're going to say it's probably not a good idea. They will tell you that because it does something to the brain. It does something to the brain. I have a V8 every now and again. Used to have them a lot more. Just can't afford them as much. Right? It's a good source of stuff that I need. All right. And even then, my brain will be like, first of all, Dion, it's not Sunday morning and there's no vodka in this. Even though I know darn well there wasn't any. But my brain will travel that way. It'll travel that way. It's like, oh, and this ain't spicy enough either. All right. Alcoholics simply will not listen to a paid 12 stepper. Altruistic. The movement must be altruistic at all times in AA. Okay. Now, let's say I'm working at Detox. New guy, a client comes in, a person comes in. I don't even like the word client. A person comes in, needs help. Should I 12 step them? No. In that case, the answer is kind of no. Am I going to put on my peer support specialist hat, or am I going to put on my AA hat? Because see, in these clinical areas, there's one thing that they cannot talk about: God. They cannot talk about God. Now I can educate them a little bit, or I can use my experience. There's a line there. I'm going to tell you something. Most of the people that do work in detox, at least nowadays at our peer support, don't believe in a higher power. Most of them didn't even go through anything, which is kind of scary. All right. But AA itself, Dion, the AA member, okay, and you see it all the time. Now, if I was asking for money here, if I was giving advice through the 12 steps and things like that, that'd be wrong to do. I just called somebody out on it. And they're, because they're talking about God. And I wrote, God is free to everyone. And they said, "What? I don't understand what your comment means." And I said, "I'll tell you what my comment means. You were freely giving something and now you're charging for it." And they actually had the audacity to come back and say, "What am I charging for?" Their link leads directly to their book. How can I believe anything that you're saying when you're lying right off the bat? I don't know about anybody else, but all right. So when an AA talks for money, whether at a meeting or to a single newcomer, it can have a very bad effect on him too. The money motive compromises him in everything he says and does for his prospect. This has always been so obvious that only a very few AAs have ever worked a 12 step for a fee. And why is that? Partly because you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and an alcoholic will know if you have bad intentions. They will know. They're looking for the loopholes. They'll start asking questions and stuff, right? If you know well enough, you could even go into a detox and try and help you. You just say, you're trying to 12 step me for a fee. Now leave me the fuck alone. They will find any reason. They will find any reason to not quit drinking. That includes your pay. Yeah. Despite this certainty, it is nevertheless true that few subjects have been the cause of more contention with our fellowship than professionalism. Okay. Now we're going to get into a different part because there are people that get paid that do things in AA, right? Caretakers who swept floors, cooks who fried hamburgers. We don't really fry hamburgers anymore. It's a lot of stuff AA clubs don't do as much, and that has to do with the fact that rent is so high that we can't do them, right? Secretaries in offices, authors writing books, all these we have seen hotly assailed because they were, as critics angrily remarked, making money out of AA. There's one book that a lot of people think is AA approved, and it most certainly is not, and it's this one, Drop the Rock. In this book, they go on to say, if we were doing this for money, we'd write another book. They wrote another book. Okay. But how does it make it look like it's AA? Look at it. Sarah S., Todd W., Bill P. Okay. This was actually put out, I guess Hazelden did the publishing on this. So just saying, a lot of people utilize that book. And you can if you want. I'm not a big fan on it. I'll give you the premise. Drop the rock. There you go. What's the rock? Your character defects. They'll let them go. There, now you have the premise. All right. But in some cases, ignoring the fact that these labors were not 12-step jobs at all, the critics attacked as AA professionals these workers of ours who were often doing thankless tasks that no one could or would do. Even greater furors were provoked when AA members began to run rest homes and farms for alcoholics, when some hired out to corporations as personal men in charge of alcoholic problem and industry, when some became nurses on alcoholic wards, when others entered the field of alcohol education. In all these instances and more, it was claimed that AA knowledge and experience were being sold for money. Hence, these two people were professionals. Now, here's part of the problem. Those are not those. It was claimed AA knowledge and experience. But we borrowed all that from other places. There's nothing original in the AA book. It's just written so we can understand it. That's what it is. The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is not a self-help book. You go through it with a guide. It is a help yourself book. And by help yourself, it's like a buffet. Help yourself. Go grab a plate. If you go up for seconds, make sure you get a clean plate. All right. At last, however, a plain line of cleavage could be seen between professionalism and non-professionalism. When we agreed that the 12th step couldn't be sold for money, we had been wise. But when we declared that our fellowship couldn't hire service workers, nor could any AA member carry our knowledge into other fields, we're taking the counsel of fear. Fear which today has been largely dispelled in the light of experience, right? And now, now let's go to meetings. Like right now, in the last week, this will be the third time I've had to chair the grassroots meeting. It would be the third time out of the 40 regular people that go there. I keep asking, but nobody's saying, see, I'm doing the thankless jobs, and I'm going to host, and I'm going to run the timer. Might as well do all the readings. See, the thankless jobs. Sometimes, and those aren't even the thankless jobs. That's service work. Sweeping the floors, doing it. When I go over to Community Reach Center and I do the meeting, I clean the room before I leave. Yesterday it was left a mess for me. I cleaned it up. They left all the equipment everywhere. There's some other things. I cleaned it up. It's a thankless job, but it needs to be done, right? Or we won't have the AA meetings. I do know this. People better start signing up to chair, though, man, because it's not even half full. And I'm tired of every day having asked somebody to chair or take it over. Take the case of the club janitor and cook. If a club is going to function, it has to be habitable, and hospitable. Try volunteers who were quickly disenchanted with sweeping floors and brewing coffee 7 days a week. They just didn't show up. Even more important, an empty club couldn't answer his telephone, but it was an open invitation to a drunk on a bench who possessed a spare key. Somebody had to look after the place full time. If we hired an alcoholic, he'd receive only what he'd have to pay the non-alcoholic for the same job. The job was not to do 12th step work. It was to make 12th step work possible. It was a service proposition, pure and simple. Neither could AA itself function without full-time workers. At the foundation and intergroup offices, we couldn't employ non-alcoholics and secretaries. We had to have people that knew the AA pitch. Yeah, because when that phone rings, somebody's got to talk to them, and they're probably drunk. AA has a 24-hour hotline. I bet the one in Colorado has been seeing some increase. But the minute we hired them, the ultra-conservative and fearful ones showed professionalism. At one period, the status of these faithful servants was almost unbearable. They weren't asked to speak at AA meetings because they were making money out of AA. At times, they were actually shunned by fellow members. Even the charitable disposed described them as a necessary evil. Committees took full advantage of this attitude to depress their salaries. They could regain some measure of virtue, as thought, if they worked for AA real cheap. That's not cool. That's not cool either. These notions persisted for years. Then we saw that if hardworking secretaries answered the phone dozens of times a day, listened to 20 wailing wives, arranged hospitalization, and got sponsorship for 10 newcomers, and was gently diplomatic with the irate drunk who complained about the job she was doing and how she was overpaid, then such a person could surely not be called a professional AA. She was not professionalizing the 12th step. She was just making it possible. Without this person, 12th step work won't be possible. Sometimes we use money to create opportunity for us to 12th step, and then it's an attraction. She was helping out, giving the man coming to the door the break he ought to have. Volunteer committeemen and assistants could be of great help, but they would not be expected to carry this load day in and day out. At the foundation, the same story repeats itself. 8 tons of books and literature per month do not package and channel themselves all over the world. Stacks of letters on every conceivable AA problem, ranging from the Lonely Heart Eskimo to the growing pains of thousands of groups, might be answered by people who know. Right contacts with the world outside have to be maintained. AA's lifelines have to be tended. So we hire AA staff members. We pay them well, and they earn what they get. They are professional secretaries, but they certainly are not professional AAs. I'm not sure what else to say on it. I think it's pretty clear, and I've already kind of got into it, right? There is a fine line there, though. Now, let's say I go to work. I'm working at Detox, and I'm a peer support specialist. What am I doing? I'm creating 12th step work. I'm creating opportunity. And it's not even just 12th step work, because not everybody goes to AA. So I'm creating opportunity for other people to be able to do things. That's what you're doing. My job is to help them see where their product. So when I work with another alcoholic, I use CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, because that's what AA is. You do it too. But when I work at a detox, I use EBT, which is evidence-based treatment. Okay, let's have a talk. We're going to talk about your life. Let's show some evidence here to see if you have an alcohol problem. Oh, you do? Great. Well, I have a resource for that. How do you feel about certain things? And now we're going to move forward. All right. Perhaps fear will always lurk in every corner. AA heart in every AA heart that one day our name will be exploited for somebody for real cash. Oh, they're doing it all the time now. Even the suggestion of such a thing never fails to whip up a hurricane. And we have discovered that hurricanes have a way of mauling with equal severity both the just and the unjust. They are always unreasonable. I don't really hear people complaining about it. In fact, in Colorado, everybody's just sticking their head in the sand. So this might be happening in other areas, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not saying it isn't happening. I'm just saying I don't see it. So, no individuals have been more buffeted by such emotional gusts than those AAs bold enough to accept employment with outside agencies dealing with the alcohol problem. A university wanted an AA member to educate the public on alcoholism. A corporation wanted a personal man familiar with the subject. A state drunk farm wanted a manager who could really handle inebriates. A city wanted an experienced social worker who understood what alcohol could do to the family. A state alcohol commission wanted a paid researcher. These were only a few of the jobs which AA members as individuals have been asked to fill. Now and then, AA members have bought farms or rest homes where badly beaten up toppers could find needed care. The question was, and sometimes still, are such activities be branded as professionalism under AA tradition? Well, if you call it an AA sober living home, probably. Well, there's a lot of places that do this, but they meet the individual where they're at and then they figure out what they mean. It isn't about AA. No. Now, if Dion the AA member took a job, that would be different. If I went running around everywhere and they're like, oh, well, AA's the way, AA's the way, AA's the way, I'm going to get fired pretty quick anyway, and nobody's going to like me. All right. We think the answer is no. Members who select such full-time careers do not professionalize the AA's 12th step. Nope. Once again, they're making service work possible. At first, the road to this conclusion was long and rocky. At first, we couldn't see the real issue involved. In former days, the moment of an AA hired out to such enterprises, he was immediately tempted to use the name Alcoholics Anonymous for publicity or money-raising purposes. That would be a problem. Drug farms, educational ventures, state legislatures, and commissions advertise the fact that AA members serve them. No, no, no. Unthinkingly, AA so employed recklessly broke anonymity to thump the tub for their pet enterprise. For this reason, some very good causes and all connected with them suffered unjust criticism from AA groups. More often than not, these onslaughts were spearheaded by the cry, professionalism, that guy's making money out of AA. Yet not a single one of them had been hired to do AA's 12-step work. The violation in these instances was not professionalism at all. It was breaking anonymity. AA's sole purpose was being compromised, and the name of Alcoholics Anonymous was being used. So back to detox. I'm working with somebody, a person that just came in. Hi, I'm Dion. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a member of AA, and I'm going to help you. Now I'm breaking it. Now I'm breaking tradition. Instead, I'm going to say, I'm Dion. I work here, and I'm a peer. I'm a peer support, so I've been where you're at. You want to talk? I didn't bring up AA. I don't need to bring up AA. Why would I need to bring up AA? Not only that, but if I bring up AA, I might create another stigma there. I might create another block that I'm going to have to get through. And the whole point behind detox is getting rid of the barriers. So it is now significant that almost no AA in our fellowship breaks anonymity at the public level. That nearly all these fears have subsided. We see that we have no right to or need to discourage AAs who wish to work as individuals in their wider fields. It would actually be antisocial were we to forbid them. We cannot declare AA such a closed corporation that we keep our knowledge and experience top secret. If an AA member acting as a citizen can become a better researcher, educator, personnel officer, then why not? Everybody gains, and we have lost nothing. True, some of the projects to which AA have attached themselves have been ill-conceived, but that makes not the slightest difference with the principle involved. This is exciting. This is the exciting welter of events which has finally cast up AA's tradition of non-professionalism. Our 12th step is never to be paid for, but those who labor in service for us are worthy of their hire. Yeah. And they, for the most part, they are. I don't know them all. Right? But without those people, without the office managers at the central office, without people running clubs and things like that, we wouldn't have AA meetings. We wouldn't have them. So, of course, with Zoom now, kind of changes things a little bit. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Thank you all for being here. Gotta go set up for the meeting. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.